Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something pretty radical for the music industry. It's called the MP365 Economic Doctrine. It's a whole new playbook for artists in a system that, let's be honest, feels broken beyond repair for so many. So let's just kick things off with a question that honestly haunts the entire modern music business. How is it even possible that an artist can get millions of streams, connect with thousands and thousands of fans, and at the end of the day, they're getting paid in pennies? It just doesn't add up.
Well, the people behind the MP365 doctrine start with a really bold claim. They argue that this isn't a bug. It's not a flawed system that we can just tweak and fix. No, they say the system is designed this way, from the ground up, to literally pull value away from the people creating the music.
Okay, so a structurally extractive design? That sounds pretty intense, right? But what does it actually mean? How is this system supposedly built to work against creators? Let's get into the mechanics.
It all starts with this idea of revenue pools. You know, when you used to buy a CD or a record, your money, for the most part, went to that artist. Simple enough. But with streaming, your monthly subscription fee, it just gets dumped into one single, gigantic pot, along with everybody else's. It's not a direct payment to the artist you love. It's just a drop in an ocean that then gets split among millions.
And this is where you can really see the disconnect. Let's say you only listen to one specific indie band all month. You'd think your subscription money is going to them, right? Well, not really. Your money is spread so thin across billions of streams from every artist on the platform. It becomes a zero-sum game, where every single stream for a mega superstar is actually taking a tiny little piece of the pie away from everyone else.
So you've got this system that's already, pretty fragile. And now it's facing what this doctrine calls an existential threat. And we're not just talking about artists getting paid a little less here. We're talking about the potential for the value of music itself to completely collapse.
Now, the argument here is really nuanced. It's not saying that AI is the bad guy. The point is that when you pour AI's insane capabilities into the existing streaming model, that's when you get a terminal crisis. AI is basically the final ingredient that pushes this whole unstable system right over the edge. And this really breaks it down perfectly. AI on its own, it can be an incredible tool for artists. And streaming on its own, well, it was a flawed model, but it was sort of manageable. But when you put the two together, that's when you get what they call a value annihilation engine. It's a perfect storm. So think about it. First, you have AI, which can churn out a functionally infinite supply of new music, and it costs basically nothing to do it. The barrier to entry to just creating content has all but vanished. But all of that infinite music is running headfirst into a very solid wall. Us. Human attention. There are only so many hours in a day that people can actually listen to music. That number isn't going up. So what happens next? Well, it's basic economics. When an infinite supply of something crashes into a fixed demand, all competing for that same single pot of money, the value of each individual song mathematically collapses towards zero. There's just way too much stuff fighting for the same cash. Okay, that's a pretty bleak picture, isn't it? A system basically set up to fail, now getting supercharged by AI. So what's the solution? Well, the MP365 doctrine says you don't even try to fix the old system. You build a brand new one right alongside it. And this, right here, is the key idea. MP365 is framed as parallel infrastructure. It's not trying to be the next Spotify or Apple Music. It's not playing that game. It's a totally separate economic track with a completely different set of rules, built to give creators another way out. So what is this new path built on? Well, the entire foundation rests on a single, absolutely non-negotiable principle. It's the one thing this whole system is designed to protect above all else. And here it is. The core belief is this: visibility, streams, followers, that stuff doesn't build lasting wealth. It's an illusion. According to this doctrine, the only thing that does is ownership of your intellectual property. Everything else is basically just temporary cash flow that's completely vulnerable to the whims of a platform. This chart lays it out so clearly. On one side, you've got streaming income. It's fragile. A platform can change its policies overnight. It can be diluted by AI. On the other side, you've got owned IP. That's a durable asset, something you control, something you can license, bundle into bigger things, and even pass down. And to make sure that ownership is protected, the doctrine sets out some really strict rules. These are designed to be a firewall, basically, to make sure creators never give up control of their work for some short-term gain. And one of the most interesting rules is that while AI can be used for brainstorming, a human has to be the one to finalize the master. The art must remain fundamentally human.
Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, right? But how does it actually work day to day? I mean, if you're not in the big streaming pool, how do you get your stuff out there and actually get paid fairly for it?
Well, the first big thing is that under this doctrine, music is never ever sold by itself. It must be bundled with what they call co-equal value anchors, like a book and an audiobook. And this isn't some deluxe edition for super fans. No, this is the standard product. And you can see why this is such a powerful defense. An AI can generate a pretty decent song, sure, but can it write a compelling book about your life, your creative process, the meaning behind the music? Absolutely not. The bundle anchors the value of the music to something deeply personal and human, something that can't just be replicated and devalued by a machine. Finally, let's look at the last piece of the puzzle, which is all about totally restructuring the relationship between the creator and their audience. This goes way beyond just a simple transaction. The doctrine sets up a really clear path to ownership. The moment you buy an artist's bundled work, you become a supporting member. But here's the crazy part. If you stick around and support them for 12 straight months, you automatically become a vested member. And that means you're not just a fan anymore. You are a literal co-owner in the artist's cooperative, with voting rights and a share of the success. And that really brings us to the final provocative question at the heart of all of this. It's asking us to imagine a system where the listener isn't just a passive consumer, but an active stakeholder, where your long-term support is rewarded not with a spot on a playlist, but with actual ownership. What would that even look like? What could that change?